We're back then with another guide video for Marvel's Avengers. Now we'll be looking at Iron Man today, a character that very much is a hybrid character in that the game intends for you to mix him up between melee and ranged, and this is something that I struggled with a bit coming up with a build, but I've managed to find one. You can smash your way through brutal with it, and it's a heap of fun as well. So in this video what we'll do is we'll start off with a quick overview and I'll let you know roughly how the build plays to give you an idea if you're interested in watching the rest of the video. We'll then talk about the stat priority for the build, we'll look at the gear and I'll point out some useful perks for it. We'll talk about the abilities and which ones you really want to use, and then we'll finish up with some high-end gameplay. So we'll start off here with the general overview. As you can probably tell from the range damage rating we have here compared to the melee, I've most definitely went for a range build here. It's all around the missiles. They allow a huge amount of stun and knockback on enemies, and endgame content, when you start to get all your enemies appearing with the blue shields, the missiles can strip them down so quickly. Now the biggest problem you will have with missiles is when you're spamming your heavy attack button to actually fire them out, your energy goes down exceptionally quickly. So one thing you can actually do, and it helps out a heap, is if you actually aim with the left trigger, fire with the right trigger for your missiles, use a lot less energy and they actually do exactly the same damage. So for the majority of your playthrough what you'll be doing is you'll be using your left trigger, manually aiming, and you'll be firing them off. When you get into the overcharged state via your support heroic, then you'll just start spamming the heavy attack button to fire out missiles as quickly as you can, and it doesn't actually matter that they are costing more energy. Now to try and get your support heroic up as often as you can, what we'll be doing is we'll be using a very certain setup with our unibeam so that we can get our heroic orbs back. So that's how the build works. It's all about getting your heroic energy up and then spamming your missiles, and when your overcharge isn't up, just making sure you're manually aiming them instead. But let's go in now and I'll talk about the stat priority. Stat wise, you can generally concentrate on 3 to 4 stats for your characters. So the ones we're going for, this is like a glass cannon build, but although we may not be stacking any defensive stats via our gear, you actually have a whole lot of survivability that can come via your kit. That comes via your support heroic with the arc field, which is really pretty amazing. It reflects projectiles, and then you've got the Hulk Buster, which essentially makes you invincible for a period of time. So if you need to open a door, you need to actually capture a capture point, then you just jump into the Hulk Buster and you can do it no bother. You don't have to worry about the fact you've not got high survivability stats. But the stats we're using anyway, precision of course is the one you want to get as often as you actually can. We've then got proficiency and valor as well, because they'll put up your crit chance and then put up your crit damage as well. And finally, intensity can be pretty nice, because with the setup we're running in a very particular set piece item we have, we can do really nice pin particle damage, so we can shrink enemies and then they're doing less damage to us and we're doing more damage to them as well. So that's the stat priority. Let's look at the gear we're running now. So I'm still very much working on gear for Iron Man at the moment, but this will give you a good idea of what you want to look for. Now one thing that's really important, of course you want precision across all your pieces. I'm lucky enough to have it here, but the bottom perk is Armory Breaker. It does increase damage from all weapons. That will really bump your damage up a fair amount. Once I can get my crit chance high enough, and if I can get one of these with precision on it, then I'll be looking for the bottom perk, which is close to 130% increased critical attack damage while overcharged, which is absolutely crazy. We've then got the slot 2 here. I'm pretty sure I can get a better one, but for now this does work. It's a set piece. It drops from your elite bosses. It's the Centurion Mark 8 Muon Ray, so this one will do your pin damage. You can get other status effects if you want on it, so if you want, you've got one with gamma damage as well there. Looking at the slot 3, this one's really not great. I would be looking to get precision on it, but the second perk is pretty decent. It's overcharged takedowns, so grants 10 points of intrinsic energy when performing takedowns, and with the setup we're using, we'll get heroic energy back as well, so that's great for spamming your missiles. And then the final one, this is really nice here, this is just a random drop. It's Powerful Blitz Reactor. You can see it's got precision. In regards to slots 2 and 3 for the perks, It has a chance that activating a support heroic, you gain a heroic charge burst, so you can get your heroic back even quicker. And then the bottom one's really good, and you want to get this on your minor artifacts if you can as well. But heroic assistance increases charge rate of heroic support ability by 15.8%. If we look at the actual artifacts now, the major one first, we're using the Ring of Nibelung, so when we get our heroic orbs dropping, we can get our support heroic up nice and quick. Now one thing I was hoping would work, and it doesn't actually unfortunately, is the Sacred Normstone of Lethal Will. So it says here it offers increased duration of all damage buffs by 4 seconds. Now when you use your support ability, it is classed as a damage buff, but it doesn't actually increase from this. So if they patch it at a later date, hopefully this upcoming patch, it could be exceptionally good. I would say it'll be best in slot in this build if they do get it working the way it sounds like it actually should. Looking at minor artifacts, no surprise here, we're going for triple precision across both of them, and as mentioned what you're looking for as well. At the moment I've got the recharge rate on my ultimate heroic, which is Hulkbuster, but I would much prefer to get it on the support heroic. You would want that on both of these minor artifacts as well as your precision, so it's going to take you a while to find that. But that's all the gear. Let's now look at the abilities. Ability wise then, we'll skip the primary tree because you will max that out anyway. We'll look at the speciality and mastery. Now there are a few options you can switch about a bit here depending on how you want to play. Because I'm going full glass cannon on the support heroic, I like to use arc field. It's really useful. I pair that alongside defensive field. If you want to go a bit more on the glass cannon side of things and play risky, you can go for arc supercharge instead. It gives you an extra 3 seconds in your overcharge state when you're firing out even more missiles. If you go for that, then make sure to choose arc jolt as well. Looking at our Unibeam, I use this specifically as a way to generate heroic energy so I can get my support up even quicker. So there's a few options you can go for. You can go for this one here where it will last 3 seconds longer and you're more likely to take an enemy down to get a heroic orb, or you can go for this one, and I sometimes switch between the two of them. This one here can be really nice. If you have a turret and a level, this will one-shot it, and then when you pair it alongside this here, you'll see when you one-shot it, it drops that heroic orb for you, and you also get free charges of it. So if you, at the start of a level, fly round, use your Unibeam to one-shot the turrets, then you'll have free heroic orbs lying there, and they're normally enough to actually get your energy full and back up again so you can fire your support off. Now, one other thing you could actually go for is rapidly defeating 3 enemies with Unibeam will overcharge the intrinsic supercharge ability. So of course it means you won't be potentially filling up your Hulkbuster again via the heroic energy from the option below, but it means you'll get your overcharge. So as mentioned, you can kind of choose yourself what one you want to go for there. With the Hulkbuster, I don't use it that often. I only use it if I'm in trouble or if you need to get a defend point, or sometimes on your elite hives you need to open a door to go into it in the first instance. Just go into Hulkbuster and can't actually be staggered, and then you can open the door straight away, so that can be really useful. In regards to the options, I went for Disruption Pulse because you can then stun people and do takedowns and get heroic energy back, and the other one I went for here is just the ability to stay in it for 5 seconds longer there. But that's all the speciality tree. Let's look at the mastery one now. We start off here with Stun Mastery. This increases all stun damage dealt to enemies by 15%, which means you're more likely to be able to get the chance to do a takedown, and then with this option here you'll get a heroic orb, meaning you get your support back again. For this next option here, I go for increase all ranged attack damage by 15% until you get used to the build and you really get the flow going really good in regards to regenerating your energy. Then you can use this instead, but it costs less energy to actually fire off your missiles. But once you feel that the build really clicks for you, then switch over to the additional damage instead. For the ranged, we go for Rocket Mastery. Increases the damage of rockets. We then have this one here that's really nice. It adds a target guidance system to basic aimed rocket attacks, so you won't really miss that often. And then rocket efficiency that allows you to fire off more of them. Looking at intrinsic energy, we have this here. It increases the base regeneration speed of intrinsic energy by 10%, so again we can fire off more missiles. This one here increases the duration of overcharge state by 2 seconds, which doesn't actually sound that good, especially if we compare it to the option above that gives you 25 intrinsic energy points for stunning an enemy. However, it's not actually 2 seconds it increases it by, it's 5 seconds. It increases it from 13 seconds without to 18 seconds with it. So for the time being, for the 5 seconds, definitely keep it. If it goes down to 2, then you maybe want to switch it to this one here, but they both are very close. Looking at the next option we have here, increases damage for all attacks will overcharge by 12.5%, so that's a no-brainer really, that one. We then have Reactive Generator. It grants 15 intrinsic energy when parrying enemy attacks with the Energy Pulse ability, so it's just hitting your right trigger to parry. Now this here is your barrier. You hold down the right trigger to actually put it up, and I've not talked about it yet because it looks to be bugged. But when this is working, you'll hold down your barrier, it stops enemy projectiles, you can't shoot through it yourself, but it will regenerate 5% per second of intrinsic energy, which is actually going to be really nice. And on top of that, what you could go for instead is heroes near the energy barrier gain a 15% critical chance increase in all attacks. This again is either bugged like the one above it, or it doesn't apply to Iron Man. It's really hard to tell at the moment. Final one we have here, it's your flying abilities. So if you're trying to farm, then go for Afterburner at the top. If you're doing hard content, then go for countermeasures where you double tap the circle button in this instance while flying, and you fire off flares, and it can be really useful to help out your teammates if there's missiles flying about as well. So that's everything you really need to know to run this build, so hopefully when you try it out you have a lot of fun. If you're not sold on it just yet, we've got some brutal difficulty gameplay to show off. This is in an elite hive as well, so this is endgame gameplay will be shown off here, and we absolutely smash through it. So enjoy the gameplay and thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.
Destroyed. Time for some Jedi! This guy's not getting back up. Playtime's over, kids! Nice, sweetheart! Thank you kindly.